Mike Servideo here with Kevin Kincaid, wrapping up the Union's 3-0 win over the Portland Timbers.
You got front office members randomly wandering around.
There's quite a few people still out.
No, it's good. They're all out. Yeah, after the fireworks and the big win.
Yeah. So let's talk about the win. What are your feelings? 3-0.
Yeah, comprehensive. I mean, it wasn't a full strength Portland 11. They still had some good players out there: Liam Ridgewell, Diego Valeri, Fernando Adi. But there's a real drop-off in the fullbacks. With both their starting fullbacks are gone. Starting goalkeeper wasn't out there, Quarce. But still, I mean, so that's what you do. When you have a team that's weakened like that, like the Sounders came in here a couple weeks ago, you try to just jump on them and do it. And I thought they came out really well. There's a lot of good movement. Sebastian Letou looked fresh.
Yeah, maybe a little bit unlucky to score early, too.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 crossbars?
Yeah.
In the first half. Portland hit a crossbar, too.
Yeah.
That's another one of those we were looking at it. Like, we had 2 scoreless draws here the 2 times that these teams have played here before. So you're sitting there thinking, oh, God, we're not going to have another one of them, right? Yeah. But it was a comprehensive effort. I thought everybody was good. Vince Nogueira, I think, was man of the match. Andrew Wenger finally gets his first goal.
Yeah.
Brian Carroll, we never talk about him. And, as Adam Kahn would say, when you don't talk about Brian Carroll, that's how you know he's had a good game.
Exactly. Well, let's talk about Andrew Wenger a little bit. Monkey on his back all season. He's not scored a goal since October 9th, I believe. He gets the goal, and it's not even just a goal. It's a brilliant strike. It's a left-footed 25 yards out into the side netting.
He just he looked like he wasn't thinking. And what I mean by that is he wasn't overthinking it. I think when players get in a slump like that, it becomes mental and it gets in your head. And he wasn't trying too hard. He just put his head down, saw the shot and took it, and it went in. And that's what you need to get off the schneid sometimes. And, like we had seen the week before, he hit one that went off both posts. And he was joking about it in the locker room there. But, a couple weeks ago we heard boos when he came off the field. And, Jim Curtin basically sat in there a couple minutes ago and said, I heard – what people were saying about Andrew, and a lot of people wanted me to take him out of the lineup, put him on the bench and whatever, and I stuck with him. Personally, I think it was too long to stick with him, but, I mean, to his credit, if a coach likes a player and thinks he's going to break out of a slump, I mean, the only way you do that is when they're on the field. So,
smattering of boos a couple weeks ago. Tonight he comes off to the standing ovation.
Yeah.
I mean, how good do you think it feels for him?
Yeah, it has to feel good, and he told us straight up. I asked him if he heard the boos, and he said no. But I guess, it's just, I don't know how you can't, I'm sure the criticism, you don't have to hear criticism or hear anything. You just go out and that you're not scoring goals. That you're not playing the way you want to play. So I think everybody in a different way kind of understood where he was at and where he needed to be. So, it's just one of those things that he finally gets off of it, and it's good. So.
Well, you mentioned you thought Vincent Nogueira was man of the match. I can't disagree. 2 brilliant goals, really. The interplay with him and Chaco was really well worked all night. Brian Carroll really good in behind them. Let's talk about those 3.
I think the key is Brian Carroll, actually. And we were just in the locker room about 10 minutes ago. You were standing there right with me. Yeah. And I basically asked him, I don't know if Vince knew how to phrase it, like to explain it, but, he was talking about the spacing and the triangle. And basically it was the idea that he can get forward a little bit more because BC knows where to be behind him. And so that's why you see the interplay between Vince and Chaco. It's not necessarily because they're so good together. They are good together and they link together. But he's given license to get forward because the number 6 behind him is playing the position exactly how he's supposed to.
Right.
And you saw that Vince really couldn't do that when he had Maurice Adu back there, because Maurice was a guy who liked to roam around and get forward on his own a little bit. So by BC sitting there and just shielding, that's why they're able to get up and do that. And Vince really said a lot about it, and he's not a guy that we talk to that often, but he had a lot of really good stuff to say about it.
Yeah, he did. The big question that we were getting on Twitter from the readers is this win an anomaly? Is this a team turning the corner? How do they keep this going?
A couple things. I mean, yeah, they didn't get a full-strength Portland, and they certainly didn't get a full-strength Seattle. But they seem to have stumbled onto a group of players that works. I mean, Vince, BC, Chaco, even Fabinho, Sapong, they all seem to just work well together, and they move well when they're out there. It's ironic that, the big signings of the summer, Aristeguieta, Vitoria, they haven't been part of this at all. Shannon Williams hasn't been, well, he has played a role in a lot of these games, but he didn't play tonight, really. It's funny to me that they've kind of stumbled onto it in the way that they have. Everybody thought Brian Carroll was just going to be a peripheral piece this year, and he's played meaningful minutes. So I don't know. Again, do I think it's sustainable? No, but you know, as long as Vince and Chaco are playing this way, then they're going to be competitive.
Yeah. So there is a number of guys coming back from injury. Connor Casey makes the bench tonight. Aristigueta seems pretty close. Lahoud seems pretty close. Vittoria, I think, is right there. How do you see those guys coming back? I mean, it's going to be hard for Jim to change the starting lineup, but where are those guys going to fit in going forward?
Well, I think number one, you play them in the Bournemouth friendly, and see what they got. You know, with Steve Vittoria, whether he likes it or not, he's going to have to be ready because Maurice Edu picked up that yellow, and now he switches a crappy call, if we're being honest. And so he's going to have to be ready, or else, I mean, your only options are Richie Marquez, and if you want to put Ethan White back out there. Fernando, I don't know. I mean, CJ's playing so well, and, you know, the triangle and the formation is so important that I don't see Fernando being able to start. It's going to be CJ with Fernando off the bench.
I think so, too.
Mike Lahoud, you know, setback. So, I don't know.
The other thing I'd like to talk about tonight, transfer window's open in MLS now. We don't...
Honestly, I got to be honest. Like, I haven't really been working that hard on it because me and my girlfriend are buying a house right now. So, it's just like, you know, it gets to be like Ed Farnsworth to tell you, it's like silly season, you know. Like a lot of these originate with like foreign reports, but
we have seen 3 specific names come up in relation to the Union. Tranquilo Barnetta, who's a Swiss winger, Santiago Ditborn, who's been trialing with the Union for the last week, I believe.
Yeah,
he's a
Thiago's
Chilean midfielder, and then Rodolfo Zelaya, El Salvador player. Been in the tweets a little bit today. What do we know about these guys, and what do we know about the Union maybe signing any of these guys?
Let's start with Zelaya. This is a guy who's linked to MLS every year. He's been linked to probably every team over the last 5 years. And he's a good player. He's like a little second striker, kind of withdrawn striker, attacking midfielder kind of hybrid. You know, there was a report that he was here and that was shot down by the team, and that's rare for the team to come out and dismiss reports like that. But from what I've heard, there may be something to it. I don't know. We'll see. That's the same with Barnetta, Tranquillo Barnetta, who's 30 years old, and he's a good winger who doesn't score a lot of goals. He's played the bulk of his career in the Bundesliga.
Yeah. Most recently with Schalke.
Yeah, he's with Schalke, but his best spell of his career was with Leverkusen for about 7 or 8 years, and he was also featured a lot in on the Swiss national team. He played in the Euros. I think he played in the World Cup as well. Yeah. So he'd be a good player to have here. I don't know how motivated a guy like that is to come to Philadelphia and work hard. He's not the hardest worker necessarily, but he'd be a good fit for this team. And Thiago Ditborn, I mean, he's a young South American guy who seems to have that, you know, innate kind of skill that all of them have, but I don't know much beyond that. I think the sticking point is that you got to get rid of Rais Mboli first.
Right. I mean, that's the bear. You know, they have to get from under that contract, and the sooner they can do that, it seems like the sooner they can start making a couple other moves.
Yeah, and it seemed like the deal with Antalyaspor was all but wrapped up, and I don't know what happened with that. I think it was just negotiations over who was going to pay him what money. I don't think there was ever going to be a contract termination there because the Union spent a lot of money on this guy, and they can't afford to just lose that money. So even if you're talking $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 for any kind of transfer fee you can get off of it, I think that's kind of the sticking point right now.
Yeah. All right, I think we'll wrap up from there. Union's back in action on Tuesday against Bournemouth, and away next week, Toronto. Keep your questions coming. Ask PSP on Twitter. We'll try to get to them. Thanks for watching.